Hi everybody, welcome to All Games New and Old. I'm David Rodriguez.
I'm Helen Rodriguez.
And today we are going to be reviewing the trading card game Grand Archive, which was published by Weebs of the Shore in 2022. I love that company name because they're clearly kind of doing a little takeoff of Wizards of the Coast, who puts out Magic, and I just think that's funny.
It is a 2 or more player game. Obviously just play as 2 players. I'm sure it plays similar to other collectible card games that can play, well, more than 2 players, but we didn't try that. So playtime, I think our time was normally around 40 minutes, so I'd say 30-45 minutes is probably your typical gameplay. Yeah,
I think so too. If you're like really seasoned card game players, you could probably knock it out pretty quick, but we are not that, so it took a little bit longer. So basically in this game, you're going to pick your champion. These are all kind of like fantasy characters, at least in this particular set. You're going to pick an element to go with that champion, and you're going to build your deck using cards that match that element and the normal element. And then you're going to do battle with each other. So, with that being said, you have a very basic idea of how the game goes. Let's go to our art and components.
For the artwork, this is a kind of an anime-esque themed game, so the artwork is all anime. With that, a lot of animes are a little bit more risque with their female characters. There's a lot more gore in anime compared to American cartoons. And that's reflected in the artwork. It's really well done artwork, but that is something to kind of keep in mind when you're playing this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot of bloody things, I don't think.
There was in my deck.
Oh, there was?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even remember any bloody cards, but okay. I believe you. But yeah, it really, I feel like it really runs the gamut of anime stuff, too.
Yeah.
Because some of the characters look more serious. Some are really cutesy. I mean, I've seen these combinations within a single anime, so it's not like that bizarre, but it's like, okay, you really kind of go all over the place from the very dark looking characters to the absolutely adorable cutesy ones. It's kind of all over the place with that, but
does, like, as far as like the character profiles, but the artwork is all very similar.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Like, you know, you don't have your really heavy manga artwork mixed with chibi artwork and mixed with, you know, so it's all very similar style anime artwork.
Yeah, it really does look like it could all come from the same show, although this isn't based on any show or manga that I'm aware of. Yeah. So, but it looks like, I mean, it's consistent enough. I don't mean to say it isn't, but it's just that it'd be like one of those animes that just has, you know, a bit of like the serious along with a bit of like the comedic and that sort of thing, which a lot of them have that sort of thing. Yeah, I really like the art in this game. I think it's one of the things that drew me to it in the first place is that it's really gorgeous. I saw this on Kickstarter. It had a very successful Kickstarter. It got almost to $1 million, which is great. I didn't get any of that, which means that I don't have like the super valuable ones that are, you know, Kickstarter should have done it, but I couldn't afford it. Stupid money. Anyway, but it did really well as far as that goes. I think the when you get the foil cards, I think they use the foil really well. Like I think they use it to highlight a lot of cool things. So some companies I think do it better than others. Foils are, I think, a little bit more rare in this game. Like I don't think you, like, you know, in Magic you get a foil, I think every pack or something, and that is not the case with this one. I think when I got like a booster box of the main set, and I think I had like 2 foils in there, so that's not the end of the world. It just kind of is what it is. But you know. But they are cool when you get them. I think they, so we played with the Dawn of Ashes set, which is the first set, and then there's Fractured Crown, which is another set, but it's sort of just meant to be an expansion to the first set. And I feel like in that one they put more foils in there, or it's just luck of the draw. I don't really know, but because it's hard to say. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But they do well when they do it. Now, I have some issues with components here. Now the cards are great. No issue with the card. The backings are really cool, by the way. It has like 2 different sort of like, not really textures, but finishes on there or something. And that looks really neat. Now, if you were wondering how you play this game and you look it up on their website and watch their quick play video, it's a nice video. But at some point it says, you know, look in the quick start guide that comes with our starter decks to learn more. There's no quick start guide in the starter decks. The starter decks are they're just the decks. Okay. Also, a lot of these things, the characters and like abilities have, like you want to have tokens. There's also no tokens. There's no official tokens that I'm aware of. Maybe with the Kickstarter some came, but like I don't think so, because I've tried to look them up and no one's even selling that secondhand that I can tell. So, you know, and I know it's a card game. I think maybe a lot of card games don't do that, perhaps, but at the same time, like, all the ones that I've messed with so far have. Magic, if you get like their starters, their 2-player starter deck or sets, that has stuff in there. I think they're, I can't remember. They have like the special packs that come with like a little box and all. I think those have it in there too. Lorcana has some. They're real super chintzy in Lorcana. They're really just like poster board, but it's something. And these, there's just nothing. Like, you really have to come up with something on your own, which, it's not the end of the world. Like, it's okay. Like, we're gamers. We have a lot of stuff.
Yeah. But if you're starting out, it's like, okay, well, what do I use as a counter?
I know, like pennies and dimes, I guess. I don't know. I mean, you could probably come up with something, but yeah, none of that exists. Also, there are official player mats that you could get with the Kickstarter that don't have zones if you care about that. I like to have the zones. Some people don't. Getting those secondhand is crazy, by the way. It's way more expensive than you need to spend on a mat. So I wish they would come out with some official mats, because we bought a secondhand one, which is fine, but it has like really almost no artwork on it. I'd like to have a cool picture on my my mat if possible. Yeah. And you know, again, I don't think any of this stuff is especially weird for a card game necessarily, but it is kind of, the one that really bothers me is there's no quick start guide in the starter decks. Yeah. Like, you have to go online to do that.
And it's weird since they reference it, so.
Yeah, I don't know if they had the plan and then just didn't or what. So there's that. Now, that being said, the starter decks are, you know, pretty complete decks. Although, supposedly they are not very well balanced. And I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
The champion Lorraine, who has like the wind element cards, very overpowering. Like, she's very straightforward, easy to play, which is great for a new player. But man, I feel like she's really quite strong.
Yeah.
And what's funny is a lot of people online have said that the deck with the character Sylvie and the water element is the weakest. And honey, I'm convinced we play games weird.
Yeah.
There is something, and okay, she wasn't the strongest, okay? Like, Lorraine, that one is still the strongest, but we did just fine with Sylvie. Like, it was a decent deck. And everyone says that it's catastrophically weak. And the reason why I say we play games weird is because the same thing with Summoner Wars. The one that always won was the one that people say, oh no, that's actually one of the weakest ones. When I play Dice Masters, if I use the not very competitive Amazing Spider-Man set, I will crush souls. I don't know what it is, but it wasn't a thing. And I think the third character, Rai, which is the wizard, I think it's just that he's a little tougher to figure out, but it probably is very powerful. Whereas, you know, maybe Sylvie just doesn't come into her own that well, but like, at least at our play level or the way we play things, I don't know.
Yeah.
She was all right. She was a good one. I think we both liked playing that deck.
I think a lot of times, like, because like, you know, because we play so many games, we don't go super heavy into any of these deck building games to a point where like we're really like competing. And I think like, so a lot of times we're basically just going off the starter deck, and we might build our own deck, but we don't really go beyond that too much. And so I think like a lot of times what happens is like, you know, we'll like a starting deck that we find either very strong or very weak is for us. But like, once you actually like go into that game deeper and are really building on those decks, then they become either lesser, weaker, or stronger compared to what we're playing them as. So
yeah, I think you're probably right about that. I just think it's kind of a funny thing that it keeps popping up, because I know we said, oh, Sylvie's pretty good. Someone would come in the comments like, are you crazy? She's literally everything I look at is like, oh, that one's underpowered, until they came out with that Fractured Crown kind of add-on set, and I guess that kind of boosts up like the water element so that it's better and kind of evens things out. But anyway, that's just kind of a weird thing. So we talked about the art. What do you think of like the iconography in this game? Did you have any issues with it? I can think of just one main issue that I sort of had, but what did you think?
For the most part, I didn't have an issue with it. The only thing, like, in a way, I almost wish there was some more, because like there's a lot of like keywords and they're just bolded, and so like I'm glad that they're bolded, but I wish there was like some iconography to go with that so that I could like kind of more quickly look at my cards and be like, oh, okay, this one has flame memory and this one has stealth, and you know, like some of the keywords had iconography that went with them so that it was a little bit easier to just quickly look and see what I had on the table.
Yeah, I could see that. The thing, actually, I thought of a second thing that is kind of a problem. But the main problem, so every card has at the upper right corner what element it is represented by. So, like, you have to have certain elements unlocked for you to use the card. So you'll start off with your champions just like an element. So it'll be like wind or water. And then you start getting into, like, the people. And you all have the normal element as well, which is just like the kind of generic one. But once you get your champion to 3rd level, it kind of unlocks a new element that you can use, which is cool. It adds, you know, some more cards that have some interesting effects. But there's a couple, the water element, which is one of the basic ones, and the arcane, which is one of those more advanced ones, are both blue. So if you have both of those around, I think it's easy to kind of get them confused. Like, some of the colors are kind of close.
Yeah, and even on Sylvie's, like, I don't think it was the arcane one, but like the one that she unlocks at level 3, the coloring is very close to her regular water element as well. So
yeah,
I know when I played that, there was a couple times where I'm like, oh wait, I can't actually play that card. So
yeah, that's right. The only other thing that I think is really weird, and it was more of a problem when I was trying to learn this game rather than once I got to playing it, because then it starts to collect together and make sense, is level is used to mean 2 kind of different things. Because you have like possibly up to 3 different cards in your material deck, which is like the side deck you can always look through, and that's where you level up your champion. And so those will say level on them too, but you can also, you know, put tokens on your champion to give them levels, which are not the same thing. So, like, if you have your level 2 champion and it says, you know, when you play this card, you get a level, that doesn't usually mean that you go and dig through your material deck and get the level 3 card, put it out. You just put a token and it's 1 level higher. Yeah. It's a little weird. I wish they could figure out, like, 2 different words. It's too late now, but 2 different words for that to have it make a little more sense. Because just learning it was confusing. I was like, wait, if this gets me up a level, do I pull out the other card?
Yeah, like, even if they just add, like, the word, like, bonus to the end of it, I think would make more sense learning the game.
Yeah.
So,
other than that, I think usually the keywords are explained. I think sometimes they're not, but it's usually something that you see. You probably have other cards in your deck, so you kind of get the hang of them eventually. But yeah, other than that, I thought it was all pretty clear. Just a couple weird little things.
Yeah.
As far as collectability, if you care about that, there's various levels of rarity. And I thought the highest one was collector super rare, but there's also collector ultra rares, and I don't remember how all these things are, but they tend to be borderless, and some of them have like a gold signature, and those are actually worth quite a lot. But I don't know how common they are. I haven't seen one in person, so I don't know how common they are. But if that's the kind of thing you like to go for, if you get them, you could really sell them for a good chunk of change. Or at least people are trying to sell them for a good chunk of change. I don't know if you can sell them for that, but, you know, you could sure try. Other people are. So, so that's that. But yeah, you know, other than that, there's some good, you know, really pretty good cards that are that are not the collector super rares, but they're not costing you hundreds of dollars. So that's what that is. Okay, so the theme of this, it actually has a lot of backstory on the website. I did not read all of it. I'd like to go through and do it sometime, but I just haven't. Essentially, the Grand Archive refers to this, some kind of weird, like, hub that connects to all these different types of worlds, and then champions have to protect those worlds, and there's some kind of catastrophe. I don't know why they're fighting each other, not working together. Whatever, maybe explains it more in there. Anyway, point is, this thing brings together all kinds of different people from all kinds of different worlds, and I don't know if they have to be, like, the only one to stop calamities on different worlds or what, but they're fighting now. They really wrote a lot.
Maybe they're fighting to, like, claim the ultimate power.
It's probably something like that, yeah. I didn't get into all it, but there is a lot if you want to go and look through it. It's interesting. But ultimately, you're 2 powerful people battling each other, like in many of these games, which is fine. That's totally fine. And I think it captures that pretty well. You're definitely two powerful people fighting each other. It's hard because this is all from one. The games that we played are all from one world. They're coming out with another set somewhere down the road that it looks more maybe steampunky or something. I'm not sure, and so maybe you'll get more of a sense that these two worlds are very different if you do it. I don't know, but right now it's just like, yeah, I'm getting more powerful, and I'm going to try to hit you a lot, and you're going to hit me a lot, and I don't know. Do you? Is there anything more you have thoughts on this?
I think that the fashions play different enough that like you definitely feel. I don't necessarily know about feeling like they're from different worlds, but definitely from different like continents of the same world. If nothing else, without reading the backstory, like I don't really get a backstory necessarily from the cards. Like the different fashions definitely have their own feel to them. Yeah. But beyond that, I'm not really necessarily getting a story out of the playing with the cards.
Yeah, like if you want to delve into that backstory, like it's there to find. You know, there's some things. There's some words that you'll notice attached to character or allies that appear over again. Like you play your assassin deck, and there are like these Korhazi, this and that and whatever. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to go to the website, it'll tell you exactly what the Korhazi are about and how they came to be that. It's all there if you want to, but if you're just playing the game, I don't know if there's enough in like the flavor text on the cards to really get a real strong idea of what it is. You know, that being said though, I feel like the characters, just the way that they're designed visually, like if you watch anime, like you know that archetype of what that character is. Like I have a really good sense, if I were to watch an anime of Grand Archive, pretty much how these characters would act, which I think is neat. They really captured that, you know, the feel of like 8,000 anime that you've seen. It's there. I mean, I like that though, personally. Yeah. I also like, personally, that this game is not based on a specific anime, because there's a lot of card games out that are based on anime. There's like a One Piece one right now that's becoming really popular, I think. And that's great. But I haven't watched like almost any of these animes that there's card games based on. And so like, I always feel if I'm going into that, like I'm just like, it might be a great game and I might enjoy it, but I'm totally unfamiliar with that. So it's kind of nice to have one, since there isn't one based on an anime that I know super well that I'm aware of, to have this one that it's just like, okay, this is like a brand new thing. You don't have to know anything to make a ton of sense of why these cards do what they do. Like you can kind of figure this out based on what you have. I kind of like that. For me, that's a positive. For some, it might not be, but I like that.
I'm okay. Like, you know, like I definitely have watched more of the animes that do have card games out there, and like, you know, when I am playing a game that's based off of a show or movie or whatever that I am a fan of, like, to me that gets me a little bit more excited and like draws me into the game a little bit more, because I can actually see these characters doing that stuff. Where with this, I can still kind of see the characters doing this stuff based off the artwork, but like I don't have a big connection to these characters. So
yeah, many years ago, a number of decades, at least 2, there was a collectible card game called Animehem, and it had Tenchi and Ranma and like 2 other animes, I think. I don't remember what they were. Man, if I get a full set of that, I don't know if the game's good, but if I get a full set of that, that'd be great. But and since that's not going to happen right now, I'm pretty happy with this setting here.
So overall, I find this to be a fun game. There's definitely a steeper learning curve to it. I haven't really played Magic very much, if kind of at all. Like I've just done a couple games here and there, and that was several years ago. But like just kind of my understanding of Magic from an outsider, I feel like this game kind of falls in between Magic and Lorcana as far as difficulty, learning it, and just like kind of overall play. I feel like it's kind of closer to Magic, but I think it's still a little easier since it hasn't been around as long. If it had been around as long as Magic, then it would probably be pretty equal. But I think since it's still a newer game, it's easier to like get comprehension of all the keywords and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if nothing else, just building your deck. Like I have a good number of Magic cards from different sets, and I'm just like, oh my god, am I gonna have to look through? I mean, it's fine. I don't mind doing it, but like, really, if I'm gonna make a black and blue Magic deck, I'm gonna have to look through like a whole lot of cards. So like, whatever. So this is a little bit easier to get my head around right now. So I kind of agree with that. If nothing else, whether or not in and of itself the rules are more or less complicated than Magic, you don't have the backlog of so many different sets that can change things up for you a lot. This game has a mechanic that I really actually like as far as like how you do certain things. So you have like your main deck, that's the one that's shuffled, that you know built out, and it's randomized. You also have the material deck, which I talked about earlier, and that's going to be just 12 cards that you can look at anytime you want to. And that's going to have your different levels for your character, and then also some like special equipment and that sort of thing that your character can utilize as well. So what I like about this is when you're playing the normal card, you're basically taking any cards from your hand and you're putting them, you know, face down into this area called your memory. So you're putting that down there. But then when your turn comes back around again, one of the first parts of your phase is the materialize phase. That's where you can get something out of your material deck. And so everything there has a cost too, but for that, you need to play, like if it costs 2, you need to pay out 2 random cards from your memory. Mm-hmm. So you're going to, you know, shuffle those ones up that you put down in your previous turn, and you're going to banish those 2, and then the cards that are left go into your hand. I really like that because, you know, like, you kind of want to, like, do you want to put this card down, or is that going to be more useful to keep? Like, do you want to risk losing it? It's a neat idea because, like, the amount of times that I put like, oh, I've got like 5 cards down here, but there's really only one that I want to keep, and then I end up banishing that damn one, like, oh, which sounds frustrating, but like I like that that's there because that's the whole point, is that it's risky to do it, but those cards in the material deck, usually, especially your levels, are usually pretty good. Yeah. Like you want to get those out, but they're a little tricky to do. But I personally like that. You know, it's not like Magic or Lorcana where the things that give you your purchase power just stay out and you don't touch them again except for to, you know, turn them or whatever depending on the game. But I kind of like that they come into your hand because you know what might be entering back into your hand the next turn. Yeah. But you might lose something. So I don't know. But did you like that, or did you find that kind of annoying, or like what were your thoughts on that?
I definitely liked it because, like, you know, there's times where, like, I would have a powerful card and I'm like, you know, especially early on where I'm like, I'm not going to be able to use this for a while, so I can put it down there. If I lose it, it sucks, but, like, I'm also not going to be able to use it right away, so it's not as big of a deal if I lose it early on in the game. And so it is kind of nice to be able to kind of like, okay, well, like, you know, do I want to risk putting these out here and maybe losing them, or, you know, like, I can put them, or, you know, like, if I need to use, you know, 3 cards to put out, and then, but, like, I need to level, like, I know I need to spend 2 cards to level, like, I can be like, okay, well, like, which cards do I, like, let me put out the 3 cards I don't really mind losing, because I'm only going to be keeping one of these cards, so, it is kind of nice to be able to kind of, like, calculate each turn which cards you want to put down into your memory.
Definitely. And one other thing that's kind of cool about that is some of the cards have a ability called floating memory. So when those get discarded for whatever reason, if it's like a ally that gets defeated, or like a spell or whatever that just, you know, hits and then goes away, you can actually spend those floating memory cards instead of your memories. So that's kind of something to play into the strategy too. Like if you don't want to lose too many cards, but you have a floating memory card in your discard, you can kind of use that to lessen the amount of cards, because you never draw like a ton of cards in this game, so you don't want to lose a lot necessarily. Yeah. But yeah, it's a nice little add-on to that rule, because when I'm building my deck, like I'm eyeballing those floating memory cards. I'm like, oh, these other things do cool things, but that floating memory is so damn useful. Like, I want to get those. So it's just another factor to consider when you're building your deck, which I like. So since we played first with the starter decks, so we have Lorraine, who's the warrior, Sylvie, who's like the beast tamer, I think, and Rai, who is the mage. Yeah. Which one of those decks did you enjoy playing with or against the most?
I enjoy playing with Sylvie the best. I think she's fun and quirky, and like there's you know, there's some strategy in playing with her. Lorraine is nice because she's pretty straightforward, and it was nice using Lorraine for the first game, so that it's like, okay, I'm starting to understand how this game works. But like once I was done with that, like I was like, oh, okay, like yeah, I like having that little trick of like, okay, like what do I have to combine in order to be successful with this character?
Yeah, I agree. I think of the starter decks, I think I actually liked Sylvie the best too. And then, yeah, for much the same reasons that you said, like, Lorraine is neat because you feel a little tough, but like at the same time, because those starter decks are, I don't think they're super balanced against each other. She's also like almost too much to fight against or to fight with. I feel like it's almost too straightforward and easy to use her too. When we built decks though, I was like, I'm like set on like making the wizard guy Rye work for me because he's tricky. Like he just has a lot of like complicated stuff, and so I definitely had some misfires there. Our last game though, I came really like the next turn I would have beat you, but you beat me because
and I played as
there are other champions. Like,
I play as a different champion, and I'm spacing out on the name.
Yeah,
it starts with a Z.
Is it Xander?
Yeah, Xander? I think it's
Okay.
Xander. He's like the prepared scout or something like that, and I really enjoy like his like guild is like an assassin guild, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
so.
it seemed cool. I need to make a deck with him sometime and just see what I think of him. But what do you think about building the deck? Did you find it hard or daunting or anything?
I didn't really find it daunting. The one thing that I don't really like is because like they like like there are different characters with like specific abilities, and then there are different elements. And the one issue that I do kind of have is that it seems like characters are really designed to be built with an element in mind. Like that guy is definitely a fire element, and so like it's one of those things where it's like I feel like you have to do the fire element with him.
Yeah.
Especially in order to be successful. And maybe not. Maybe there's workarounds. But like I feel like a lot of them, like especially the allies and stuff that are connected with a specific element. So I kind of wish there was some way to like have those a little bit separated so that you can, like, if there's a character that you really like, you could actually try some different elements and see which mixes work best for you. So
yeah, like when I made my deck with the wizard, I did use a different element for him than what the starter deck came from. So I felt like he did some cool versatile stuff. Sylvie, like I don't think there's a lot of like beasts in the red deck. Like there's like a red slime. I think there's some, I think, but I don't think there's as many. I could just be, not perceiving that correctly, but there's at least seems to be like maybe an element for each of them that may not be quite the best fit, or doesn't use their abilities to like, know, as much as
and
they
it
could.
might just be because it's assassins. But like, like that deck, like I think the only element I saw was fire.
Yeah.
And whatever the third, like the special element is. Right. Like I didn't see any other elements as an option. So
yeah.
One of the things that I do find a little bit of, like, I don't know if it's necessarily problematic, but something that just kind of bothers me a little bit with this game is that not all the champions have 3 levels to them. So not all of them can unlock a special element. You can definitely use a different champion that has a 3rd level that can unlock that other element, but a lot of them have abilities that will continue on with that character, but if you switch characters to get to that 3rd level, then you don't get that ability anymore. And then sometimes they also have something where you only get the ability if you can only play that card if you already have that card out set too. So there's some like level 3s that can't be played out with a different character. So that kind of bothers me a little bit. So
yeah, it's a little bit weird. There's some champions that literally only have a level 2, so you have to start with a level 1 whatever, and then when they go to level 2 you can put out that level 2 character, but then it stops. Yeah, there's at least one that has like a 2 and a 3, so you still have to start with another character, which might be okay. I haven't really thought too deeply about what the abilities of those characters are that only go to level 2. Maybe it makes up for it, but you probably have less hit points, which is scary to me. But I don't know if the plan is to later on come out with more sets where they fill out those characters more or not. I have no idea. I haven't heard anything. It seems like the next set is going to a whole different world, so I don't know if that's likely to happen there. I'm not sure. But it is kind of a strange thing. I'm sure there is a reasoning behind it, but at least this early on, I'm not sure what it is. So, yeah, there you go. Alright, so now it's time for our final scores. We score things on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is a game that's basically non-functional, or it makes us so angry or sad that we never want to touch it ever again, and we don't think you should either. A 5 is a completely average game that we can take or leave, whatever, and a 10 is a game that is either perfect or it's so good that its flaws just don't matter. That's the scale we use. I haven't said that in a very long time. But in case you didn't know, 10 very good, 1 extremely bad. So, that being said, where are you rating this thing?
All right. So I do enjoy this game. I do enjoy it better with the built decks, and I can see myself, you know, doing tweaks to the deck that I built, and being happy. There's a few things I think really the main complaint that I have about it is the fact that it doesn't come with tokens. Mm-hmm. And tokens are very essential in this game.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to give it an 8. I enjoy this game. I have a little bit of a difficult time with the collectible card games just because I prefer to just buy a game and know what I'm getting and not fall into this money pit.
It is a money pit.
So, but for it being a collectible card game, it's a lot of fun. So, if you like collectible card games and you like anime, I think you're going to enjoy this game.
Right on. I will say that if you do just a little shopping around, you can get these cards for much cheaper than MSRP. I'm talking about the booster boxes. You can get them for quite a bit less if you look around just a little bit. So I think it's less. I think it's less expensive than Magic. Or Lorcana, even at MSRP price, to say nothing of what they're going for at the moment. Okay, so I've really been all over the place on my thoughts with this particular game. Actually, earlier today, I thought, well, I don't know. I like the puzzle putting together deck, but I was I thought I made a good one, and I dramatically failed against her last time, and I was I don't know, am I at a 7 with this? But with the same decks, I got so close this time, and I was okay, I think I just maybe had a bad shuffle, and I just need to tweak it a little more to make that not happen. And the idea of doing that excited me. And so as I'm playing this, and I'm doing pretty well, I'm this is cool. I think I'm figuring this guy out. It was this cool puzzle for me that I feel like I'm getting a better handle on the more we play it, which is probably just common to all these games. But and a 7 is still a good score, by the way. But I think it actually pushed me into an 8 as well. I already love the art immensely. I think it's great. I got excited when they started showing little teasers of the new set, which again, I think is kind of steampunky, but don't hold me to that. I could be wrong, but new champions, all that kind of stuff looks exciting. And yeah, I just dig it. It is a bit of a puzzle to put your decks together, but I like that. I like that part of it. And I know some people look up decks online to see how people play that have won things, and I don't understand that. Personally, it's just so not me. To me, that is part of the game, is figuring out your deck and then seeing how it does for you. That is half the fun easily of that for me. So I'm not going to look up net decks, and I'll be perfectly happy to lose if I ever jump into an actual competition, a real so yeah. That's fine. But yeah, it's an 8. I really think it's a fantastic game. My only concerns about it are, I don't know how broad this is going to reach. I know around here, I don't think there's too many stores that sell it. We have, there's one, a little bit down south of us a ways that carry it. I don't think they're doing tournament nights. Some places are. I do see, I'm in a Facebook group for this, and there are places that do have tournaments, but I don't know if that's true here locally anywhere. I haven't checked every single store, so bear with me here. But so that might depend on your area, and I know a lot of these games kind of live or die based on the organized play. I don't care about that so much. I'm happy as long as this game keeps coming out to buy cards, and we can play it together, or I can try to talk other friends into it. That's fine. But if that's a big deal to you, you might want to look around and see if people are playing it, or if you're willing to be the person who gets people into this game. Because I think if some people try it, they'll really dig it. But you got to get there. I just kind of did some cursory looks at some people's opinion of it online, and a lot of people really are liking the game. Again, it did really well on Kickstarter, so people have this in their hands. It's just a matter of, getting it widespread enough for it to really catch on. So I really hope it does. But yeah, that's where we're sitting. We have been just locked. I feel like the last like 4 reviews or something we've had on the same score. But yeah, 8. It's real strong. I am so excited to check out the new set and to try other decks and mixtures of champion and elements and whatnot. There's just a lot to explore, and I feel like I barely scratched the surface, but yeah, that's what it is. Okay, so with that out of the way, I'll tell you some stuff that we have coming up. So we are going to be doing a video, probably not too long, where we are going to compare this to another new trading card game, Lorcana, which is a little bit more popular. And then if we have that discussion, at some point we're going to either do one or both of those and compare it to Magic the Gathering from a noob's perspective. Mm-hmm. We're also going to be doing a review of the last podcast on the left presents The Real Truth, which is sort of from it's from a podcast we really like. I don't know if how much input they had in this game, but it's got cryptids and all kinds of cool stuff, and people really went nuts for the unboxing of it. So, you know, I'm excited to see what it's like. But that's the current plan. Other than that, I have like Kickstarter showing up like crazy, and I was pretty sure I knew which one I wanted to review after last podcast, but I don't know. There's so, like, everything's showing up like now, right now.
We're also starting to go into the holidays currently, and we have kids, and I do shows, so my business gets really busy this time of year too. So yeah. We have a lot going on in the next couple months.
Yeah, we're just going to be reviewing rock, paper, scissors. It's so much easier. What do you think of the components? Well, I could use a pedicure. Manicure. I don't know. These things. Anyway.
Manicure's hand.
Thank you. Yeah. Manicure. I probably could use a pedicure too, though. I don't know. I'm not going to get one, so it doesn't matter.
You could do a mani-pedi.
I could do a mani-pedi. I don't think I should. I already bite my nails. I'll probably just look at my nails in horror. Not my toenails. My fingernails. Don't be gross. Okay.
I mean, that's pretty gross on its own.
But it's a lot less. It is a lot less. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video more than I have. If you have, please like and subscribe and click the little bell icon so you know the next time we put out a video. Otherwise, look forward to see you all around the table again at All Games New and Old.
Bye.
Bye. So if you get one of those, congratulations. They're awesome. They're pretty. They're... Oh my god. A cat appeared. If you're crinkling, that's our goddamn cat. We can't have a peaceful moment. It's impossible. As I think I mentioned before, you have this separate deck that isn't, you know, your 60...
I don't think people want to see your butt.
Hey, you made it to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like it, share it, and click this button to subscribe. If you like that one, you might also like this one.
Or this one.
I cannot believe what I did in that one. Holy cow.
I can.
Of course you can. All right. Anyway, we'll see you around the table.
Bye.
Bye.